January 14, 2020, the Supreme Court of Nigeria gave a landmark judgment declaring Senator Hope Uzodimma as the duly elected governor of Imo State and sacking Emeka Ihedioha as the governor. The Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment by a 7-man panel of justices that was led by the then Chief of Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Tanko Muhammad, held that Ihedioha, who contested on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), was not duly elected by a majority of lawful votes. The judgment, read by Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, the Apex Court agreed that results in 388 polling units, which amounted to 213,295 votes results, were cancelled and unlawfully excluded during the collation of the final governorship election results in Imo State, while maintaining that Uzodimma polled a majority of the lawful votes and ought to have been declared the winner of the election by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
We want to return all glory and honor to the God Almighty, that we are vindicated at the end of the day. Our position from beginning to this end has been that the case of Imo is very unique. It's different from all election petitions in Nigeria. Because whereas others were complaining about non-holding of election at the various units, Imo's election petition was about exclusion of votes from 388 units. The total votes amounting to 213,695 votes. This has been the case, and we thank God Almighty today that the Supreme Court saw the point we are making. That it is not a complaint about units, but a complaint about collation of results. And that if the 213 votes, 695 votes have been added, that it was Hope Uzodimma who scored the highest number of votes and had the required criminal spread.
24 hours after the judgment, 15th of January 2020, Senator Hope Uzodimma was sworn in as the 7th democratically elected governor of Imo State by the Chief Judge of the state. Upon assumption of office, the governor was faced with numerous challenges: collapsed infrastructure, a disillusioned civil service, disenchanted people, and litany of bad roads that dotted major roads in Imo State. Even the governor's lodge and office were deserted due to the fact that it was not inhabitable.
I'm glad to state that we've made you proud through the huge difference we have made between the Imo State we met on January 15, 2020 and the Imo State of today, January 15, 2023. Indeed, the difference is so palpable and so pervading that even the blind can feel it. The Imo State we met in January 2020 on assumption of office can be best described as something very close to the political definition of a failed state, this time at a sub-national level. For all practical purposes, we met a state with a decayed infrastructure, dysfunctional workforce, and a deeply despondent and traumatized populace. There was hardly any single motorable road across the state. The state capital of Owerri in particular was littered with unmotorable roads and dilapidated government buildings. The civil service was a good example of a disoriented and directionless institution with no regards for regulations and due process. As a consequence, the productivity and reputation of the civil service dropped to zero. For a state like Imo that was renowned for its efficient and reputable civil service, this collapse was a major dent on our pride and reputation. The general populace, dismayed by the inexplicable failure of government, relapse into utter despondency and hopelessness, like sheep without shepherd. The situation was that bad. The situation was made worse by the fact that we had no handover note and there was nobody to ask questions about government assets and liabilities.
Without taking aback, Governor Uzodimma confronted the challenges with courage, determination, and commitment. And 3 years down the line, through his shared prosperity and administration's mantra of reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery, Imo people are singing a new song.
This is the first year that people from Ikedu, from Isialamba, not from Okigwe area, will drive through their homes in rainy season without fear of being kidnapped, without fear of going through the doors which lead them to the north place. So go have done something that people from that area can never forget. They promise good clothes. And people, if you drive from Owerri to Olu Road now, upgrade Olu, you see a lot of hope. The road like a modern highway. And right now, work is going on Ubisa Road. If there are so many other roads, hope has to actually work up. So if a governor is able to achieve all this, I think he has done very well.
No matter all the pressure his opponents was given and abstained from giving, he created life to us now through road major roads. Fantastic. You come to local roads, excellent. Ask us about health, complete dynamic. Say about education, they have made us proud. Look into civil servants, all of them were clapping. Yeah, that's that. His Excellency, distinguished Senator, is God sent. And thank God who made it possible.
It is worthy to note that aside the challenges that was met on ground at that time, Governor Uzodimma, shortly after assuming office, was faced with the monster of COVID-19, which was followed shortly by a wave of political contrived insecurity which was initially thought was occasioned by the NSAS protest. However, even with these monsters, the governor believes his administration has delivered on his campaign promises, to the chagrin and utter dismay of his detractors.
So we trudged on with the determination and zeal of the spirit-filled. 3 years after, it is clear to all and sundry that we have not only secured our state, we have made life far better for citizens and residents of Imo State. What is more, Imo State is looking up to the future with greater confidence, knowing that glorious days lie ahead. First and foremost, through the right policies and provision of medical facilities, we were able to contain and minimize the devastating effect of the dreaded coronavirus pandemic. To the glory of God, Imo State recorded one of the lowest number of COVID-19 deaths and infections in the country during the pandemic. Similarly, through the help of President Muhammad Buhari and the unfailing cooperation of security agencies, we were equally able to contain the politically contrived insecurity surge in the state. But this was at a huge financial cost to the state. The because we had to support the security agencies with both equipment and logistics to do the battle. But it is instructive that we never allowed the two monsters of COVID-19 and the politically contrived insecurity to be an excuse for not delivering on our promises to Imo people. So in spite of the enormity of these challenges, we still performed far beyond expectations.
In the area of physical infrastructure, the Uzodimma'S-led administration in the last 3 years was able to build a functional, refurbished and re-energized governor's office and also a befitting governor's residence, a brand new executive council chambers with state-of-the-art communication gadgets erected to ensure that the entire machinery of the executive arm of government is brought up to date with modern-day realities, construction of a befitting banquet hall inside Government House. The collapsed House of Assembly complex, left to rot for over 10 years, was also rebuilt and re-equipped with modern state-of-the-art communication gadgets. In the area of road construction, under the Uzodimma'S-led administration, many roads in Owerri capital have now been fixed. The Owerri landscape now wears a comforting new look. So far, the state government have embarked on the construction of over 100 roads in different parts of the state. Some of these have been completed and commissioned, while others are at various stages of completion. Some of these roads are the Owerri-Olu Road and Owerri-Okigwe Road, Chukwumawanha Road, Dick Tiger Road, and Dick Tiger Street. The construction of balloon flood technology at Works Layout and Chukwumawanha, reconstruction of the Muhammadu Buhari Way, reconstruction of the Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu Way, reconstruction of the Ivan Enwerem Road, formerly called Akachi Road, construction of all adjoining roads in Aladema Estate and New Owerri Layout, construction of 5-kilometer roads in each of the 27 local government areas of the state, and many others. It is also worthy to note that work is currently ongoing on the Owerri-Mbise Obowo Umuahia Road, Olu Mgbe Akokwa Oga Road, and Oguta Okporo to Olu Road, which the governor has already assured will be completed and commissioned this year. In the civil service, the once disillusioned civil service, which morale was at its lowest ebb before the coming of the Uzodimma'S-led administration, have now bounced back and now full of life and energy. First, the State Secretariat was rehabilitated and remodeled to ensure a conducive working environment. The government provided free transport to move civil servants to and through offices daily, while the senior civil servants and permanent secretaries were all gifted new official vehicles for job productivity and effectiveness. Through training and retraining, the state workforce has been upskilled and repositioned for more effective and efficient service delivery. In addition, the civil servants now receive the 13th month salary to further boost their morale. This gesture has been on for 2 consecutive years in addition to regular prompt payment of salaries. The governor also released the promotions of state workers who have been denied their promotions for over 10 years.
Some time ago, he approved the promotion of all civil servants, which has lingered for years. Then, aside from that, last year, for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, in the history of Imo Civil Service, we were paid the 13th month. I've been in service for 15 years, I've never received that. And this year again, he has done the same thing. Before now, civil servants, around 20th of every month, some find it difficult to come to work from that time. But now, from that time, come to the offices, it's always filled, just because of the availability of that free staff bus. people come to work every day and stay till the close of work before leaving.
On the area of road construction, as I'm very certain, and you will recall very vividly, that before January 2020, most of our roads, including those in the state capital and the intercity ones, were in a dilapidated state, constituting a threat to lives of road users. I'm glad to report that in 3 years, the landscape has changed dramatically. Many roads in the Owerri capital have now been fixed. The Owerri landscape now wears a comforting new look. So far, we have embarked on the construction of close to 100 roads in different parts of the state. Some of these roads have been completed and commissioned, while others are at various stages of completion.
In the health sector, first and foremost, through the right policies and provision of medical facilities, the state government was able to contain and minimize the devastating effect of the dreaded coronavirus pandemic, which was evident as Imo State recorded one of the lowest numbers of COVID-19 deaths and infections in the country during the pandemic. The revitalization of the Imo State University Teaching Hospital, Olo, for the first time in years, the institution was able to graduate medical doctors because of the sheer determination and commitment of the state government. The Uzodimma'S administration is also currently renovating and equipping 305 health centers, one in each of the electoral wards of the state. The School of Nursing and Midwifery, which had lost accreditation, have been recovered and are now set to admit new students before Easter. All the general hospitals are being revived to have requisite staff and equipment to function. The state government provided and deployed 24-hour mobile ambulances with state-of-the-art equipment across local governments in the state with provision of health at your doorstep services. Another good news is that through the synergy existing between the federal government and the Imo State government, the federal government approved the upgrade of the Federal Medical Center Owerri to a teaching hospital for Federal University of Technology Owerri, which means that Imo State now has 2 teaching hospitals, which comes with enhanced quality medical services. This feat, no doubt, was facilitated by Governor Hope Uzodimma. In the area of job creation and youth empowerment, the Uzodimma'S administration realized that the development of infrastructure must go hand in hand with human capital development. As such, the state government intensified efforts in getting youth engaged in productive ventures. Only recently, the government launched the Skill Up Imo project, an initiative that will see that more than 100,000 youths are trained and equipped in different digital skills for immediate and self-employment. So far, the government has trained over 20,000 youths of Imo origin in different skills and availed them with startup kits to start their own trades. More than 30,000 others have been empowered through different cash transfer programs in collaboration with the federal government. One way the Uzodimma government has also been creating gainful employment opportunities for the youths is through the resuscitation of hitherto moribund industries in the state. The state government successfully did that with Adapam Nigeria Limited, and through our public-private partnership, the once moribund industry is back in business with the employment of hundreds of youths and indigenes of the state. The government under the Uzodimma'S administration has also gone far with Imo Standard Shoe industry after paying off the debt it owed AMCON. It could be recalled that in 2022, the state government cleared all debts owed by the Imo State government under previous administrations and was able to recover the Imo Standard Shoe Company from AMCON, a feat that was greeted by Imo people far and near. Such lights are being beamed at Avotu Modern Poultry, Nsu Ceramic Tiles and other similar ones. With the new Imo industrial policy, which was recently launched, Imo State is no doubt on the march to economic greatness, which will be tapped by the youths. The policy will attract and encourage investors to the state, and this will create additional opportunities for employment.
Development. I have intensified efforts to get our army of youths engaged in productive ventures. Only recently, I launched the Skill Up Imo project, an initiative that will see that more than 100,000 of our young youths are trained and equipped in different digital skills for immediate employment or self-employment. So far, we have trained over 20,000 youths of Imo origin in different skills and availed them with the startup kits to start their own trades. More than 30,000 others have been empowered through different cash transfer programs in collaboration with the federal government. Because government cannot employ all the army of youths, I will continue to avail them of windows of opportunities to find expression for their talents. One way I have also been creating gainful employment opportunities for them is through the resuscitation of hitherto moribund industries in the state. We have successfully done that with Adapan Nigeria Limited. We have also gone far with Imo Standard Shoe Industry after paying off the debt it owed Ampon. Satellites are being beamed at our modern poultry, at Nsu ceramic tiles, and other similar ones. With the new Imo industrial policy, which I recently launched, the state is on the march to economic greatness.
In education, the state government is encouraging the young ones to embrace education by creating opportunities and more opportunities for learning. After the state government recovered the K.O. Mbadiwe University in Idato, it deemed it fit to complement existing tertiary institutions in the state by establishing new ones. The state government, after getting accreditation from NUC, set up Imo State University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Omuagwo, and moved the former Polytechnic to a new site in Omuma, Oru East local government area of Imo State. With Senator Ben Owajimogu College of Education, Ehituboma, the state is now funding 5 tertiary institutions, including the foremost Imo State University, Owerri. The aim is to ensure that indigenes seeking admission into tertiary institutions would no longer be stranded. The other implicit benefit is employment opportunities for teaching and non-teaching staff. The government, through the Imo State Universal Education Board, IMSUBEB, and in partnership with the Universal Education Board, UBEC, is also carrying out several projects and construction of schools across the state and also equipping existing ones. Not too long ago, the governor distributed free school bags and books to pupils and students of all primary and secondary schools as they return to school for a new academic session. The teachers' salaries and welfare in Imo State has always been a priority for the government. This year, 2023, which is the last lap of Governor Uzodimma'S first tenure, he has promised to surpass previous life-changing programs and policies aimed at affecting lives of Ndimo and changing the landscape and development of Imo State. According to the saying, to whom much is given, much is also expected. All Imolites should continue to rally round and support the administration of Governor Hope Uzodimma, whose intention is to deliver Imo from the shackles of poverty and make Imo great again.